Welcome back everyone to the channel. I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here for just a couple minutes of your day. I appreciate you guys. Today's a little different. I see this once in a while on YouTube, so I just decided, I'm like, why not I just do it? And it is the longest books on my TBR. Now I have 8 books on here. It was actually a little bigger than it was before, but I have read quite a bit of bigger books. Books I'm not going to include on here is like The Wheel of Time because they're each super long and I'm currently reading them. And I would put Oathbringer on here, but Oathbringer, I am currently reading it, so I'm not going to put that in there either. These are books I haven't read yet, but they are on the TBR. Like I said, with Wheel of Time, each book, I literally could just put all of them on here. I could just say The Wheel of Time. I could, but I'm not going to. That's just my rule. So these 8 books are average from 800 to over, I think it was like 1,300 pages. So these are some thick boys, and I'm actually pretty excited to get into them. Some of them I might be reading this year. Well, one of them is guaranteed to be read this year. The rest, maybe next year, because I just have so many bigger books to read this year. So that would be like the goal. Next year, I want to take a slower approach of reading these big fantasy series and focus more on other books. So let's do that. So the first book, I have not read it, but I heard it's exactly like The Stand, and I really like The Stand. So it's not The Stand. And this book is called Swan Song. Now, Swan Song, I think everyone knows what Swan Song is by now. It's exactly like The Stand, I guess, where it starts off just like how The Stand is, and it ends in a different way, though, but a lot of it's, like, I guess The Stand and Swan Song are a lot alike. That's all I know with this book. I bought it a couple years ago as a mass paperback. You guys know. I'm pretty excited to get into this book, see the relations between this and The Stand. I haven't read The Stand in a couple years. I might do like audiobook of it because it's been so long, and I would like to review all the Stephen King books on here eventually. But I will do that. But Swan Song is definitely on my list. I thought about reading it this year, but of course, I put too many big books on my TBR this year, so I decided, I'm like, that's next year. Now the second book is one book I actually talked about in classics I want to read, so you guys should definitely go check that out if you guys want. And this is the greatest love story of all time right here, and that's Gone with the Wind. I'm not going to talk too much about it. All I know is it's the greatest love story ever written. I don't know anything else about it, and we're gonna skip because I already talked a little bit about Gone with the Wind in my last video. So yeah, speaking of talking about this in my last video, this is the same exact thing. Now this is the greatest Western ever written, which is just so funny. I like hearing these things because it makes me like read these, and if I read them, I really, really like them. I'm like, can these ever be topped? You know, if they are the greatest, then I feel like anything else I read after will never live up to the same expectations, which is fine. I mean, I don't go in there expecting these books to be like, oh, but I expect them to be really, really good. And this book is Lonesome Dove. Like I said, Gone with the Wind and Lonesome Dove are both on my classic books I want to read. Go check out that video if you guys want. It'd be really cool. So I don't want to talk too much about both of these books because I talk about a lot in the classics I want to read as well. But they are both 2 of the biggest books on my TBR, books I would like to read in the following future. So I used to be a pretty big avid Stephen King reader. I haven't read Stephen King in a while. I do post some of his reviews on here once in a while because, like I said, I would like to have his reviews, like his books, all on my channel because I do like Stephen King. I just haven't read his books in a long time. And there's a little bit of me that feels guilty that I just haven't, and I don't know why. Early on, I just got so burnt out because that's all I was just reading is Stephen King. So now I'm like, all right, we need to do something else. But he is on this list because he has wrote plenty of big books. One of them is Under the Dome. Now, to me, I don't know anything about Under the Dome besides there's just a big ass dome that just drops on the city, and that's it. How did it get there? No clue. What's gonna happen? No clue. And I'm actually pretty excited to get into it, see where it is. How does this all happen? Knowing how Stephen King writes, it's gonna be pretty epic, and I cannot wait. So this book was pretty popular for a while, and I think it was like 2022 is when it was like super popular. I see a lot of people still reading it, and to me, I actually got it on Facebook Marketplace for $5. That's like one of the reasons why I got it, because I was like, $5, let's go. And so I bought it, and now I'm like, holy crap, I didn't realize how big this book was. It's nearly 900 pages, and I'm like, oh man. So it's definitely on this list, and that is A Little Life. Now with A Little Life, I actually don't know anything about it, besides I guess it's about 4 dudes in their mid-20s kind of just living, and it goes through like really dark things in there. As a man that is in his mid-20s, mid to late 20s now, I'm wondering how I'm going to relate to these characters in this book. Like, am I going to relate to them? Will I have the same feels as they do going through this book, or will I not? I'm actually really interested to read this and just get the idea of what's going on. So I'm actually pretty excited. I heard it's really deep and really dark, and I can't wait. So speaking earlier that I am currently reading Oathbringer, I gotta put the last one on here. That's Brandon Sanderson's Rhythm of War. Rhythm of War I'm reading in September. I have literally this whole year planned out books, which is just nuts. But I have so many big books, like series I'm trying to finish. I have to do it this way, which I don't support doing, but I gotta do it anyways. Rhythm of War's on here. I'm currently reading Oathbringer, and I will be doing a review of Oathbringer, I think soon, or it's out already. I don't know. And I'm actually pretty excited. I can't wait to be caught through the Stormlight Archive. It's gonna feel like a lot of weights off my shoulders. I'm like, wow, I read these tomes of books, and I cannot wait to finally be done. Same thing with Wheel of Time. Both of them, I'm excited to get them both done. Rhythm of War, I heard, is the weakest of the four, so I don't know how I feel. It's also the longest of the four, I'm pretty sure. So I'm like, oh god, here we go. I'm hoping it's actually good. Let's hope. So this book, I have no knowledge about it besides it's just building something, and it's like the whole book is they're just building. I bought this book as a mass paperback for like $2, and I was like, all right, we're gonna see how good this book is. And that's Pillar of the Earth. Like I said, I don't know anything about Pillars of the Earth. All I know is they're building like a cathedral or just a big building. That's all I know. I just know it's building something, and that's the whole book. So I don't know how I feel about it, but I heard it's really, really good, and I cannot wait to dive into it. So the last and final book on this list is from an author that I actually have not been doing too well at trying to read. I'm about to read Neverwhere from him, which is Neil Gaiman. So I have his book called American Gods, which is what I'm going to be trying to read eventually. I tried reading that a couple years ago, and I never could get into it. I don't know why. I only read like 20 pages of it, and I was like, yeah, this ain't for me, dog. So I'm hoping me reading Neverwhere, I really like Neverwhere enough that I might really enjoy American Gods. Like these 8 books, I would like to try and read them all next year. Well, it says Rhythm of War, but the rest of them I would actually try to read them all next year, maybe each month. That'd be awesome. But we'll see what happens in the future. I just know with American Gods, it's really thick, and I have it as a mass paperback, which is a proud moment of mine. I just don't know anything else about it, and I hear it's really, really good. Like, I hear all these good things about Neil Gaiman. It makes me sad that I just don't read any of his books. I'm glad I'm trying to actually attempt to read Neverwhere and just trying to read something now. So those are all my books that are the longest books on my TBR. If you guys have any like large books that are on your TBR, I would like to know. Maybe I'll add them to my TBR and the pile just will never stop. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Make sure you guys check out all my socials down below. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay hungry, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.